Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. The other day someone asked me to share my opinion about why young people are having less sex these days compared to previous generations. Well, I'm not a sociologist, but I'm going to share my opinion on some of the reasons that I've found online about this. For example, one of the reasons is that people or young people are taking longer to reach adulthood. For example, they're living at home longer, so it's taking them a longer time to actually find independence, and that really does influence things. Well, for me, I came to live in Spain after my graduation. I left home at 18. So for me, independence was really, really, really important. And when I came to Spain, I was, at 22. A lot of people were, living at home until they were 30, which seemed like really old for me. I was thinking, why you haven't lived all these terrible or fun things like sharing an apartment and just these kind of I didn't think university, if you were living with your parents, would be such a good or fun or integral experience. That was my thoughts anyway. And I think then people get married and they haven't really had this life experience. However, as the years have gone by, this phenomenon of actually staying at home longer is actually spread to other countries. It's even the same, more like that now in the UK, where most people I know kind of left home at 18, whereas it's becoming more and more difficult now. And I think it's a real pity, because I do think you miss out on lots of experiences. But where sex is concerned, it obviously just means you have a place to have sex. And when you don't have a place to have sex, I mean, here in Spain, the joke was always, you could have sex in a car. That was the most popular thing. I'm not really sure how many young people actually do have driver's license or access to a car. And also, if you're just discovering sex, I don't think it's very nice to be kind of doing it in public places, or I don't know. But I think that's a real pity. So yeah, people, I guess, they are just not having the opportunities so much. But I do think that's quite a sad thing. So I do think it's good to be independent, not just to have sex, but just to kind of learn about life and to not rely on your parents until you're 40, which seems to be quite normal these days. But for me, I mean, even when I was living at home with my parents, I was still finding ways to have sex. I mean, when someone's parents are at work, or I mean, I'm not recommending this, but it's just kind of things that happened, or even having sex outdoors, which wasn't good. And even I was crazy. I even had sex in classrooms when I was a student as well, and I was at Catholic school, even in chapels and stuff. It was really, really crazy, finding weird and wonderful places. But I was actually with the same person, so that's another one I'm going to talk about a bit later on. Let's talk about it now. So people these days, apparently, they are indulging more in hookups than actual long-term relationships, and I think that's really sad. I mean, I remember years ago, maybe 15 years ago, doing internet dating was kind of more for freaky people. Or if you were on the internet and you met someone, they were like, why do you need internet dating? Can't you meet someone in real life? Whereas now it's completely changed, and that has its good side and its bad side as well. So on the good side, it means that you are meeting people that you wouldn't normally have met, whereas in the past it was all about going out on Saturday night and maybe getting drunk and having a dance, and that might not be the best situation. And you might go home with someone you don't even know their name. You wake up and you're like, oh my God. Well, I've never really done that, thankfully, and it's not something that I think is a good thing either. But meeting strangers online also has its risks as well. But the way we meet people has completely changed. I'm not talking about dating apps there, that was a different point. But anyway, going back to hookup sex, I really think it's a pity that people are having maybe more casual sex instead of long-term relationships. I think I'm not really into commitments or anything these days. That's a long story, but that's my own personal story. But I'm so glad that I did have long-term relationships when I was growing up and when I was discovering sex, because it's so nice to kind of discover these things with someone else and have real trust and not have a history of heartbreak. You kind of really give a lot of yourself. And I used to have these relationships that were like cocoons that were created of snuggling and lots of good sex. I mean, lots and lots of sex, but always with the same person and repeated. And then you get to really know each other very well, which is something you don't get in hookup sex. You don't get the kind of familiarity that can really provoke those more orgasms, getting to know someone, intimacy. You don't get that. And also I recently read a book called Becoming Clitorate by Dr. Laurie Mintz, and she's talked about how the rate of orgasms is so low for women who indulge in hookup sex. Whereas if you're in a long-term relationship, then it's going to be more adventurous. Well, it can be potentially more adventurous and way more orgasmic. That's what I think anyway. I do think it's a real pity that people are not discovering these things as much. And I think you know, I'm all about independence and stuff, but I do think it's a pity that people are not having their first experiences as part of a relationship. Anyway, and then dating apps. Yeah, so dating apps, as I just said before, they've really, really evolved. And before it used to be dating websites, and it was only kind of maybe for the people who were not as socially, or for the more socially awkward people. But I do think we are becoming more socially awkward collectively as a result of all these things, and that's really not a good thing. But yeah, I think with the dating apps, it's kind of like almost like shopping for people, and people have kind of like not interested in what someone's got to say. It's just about the picture and the 3 sentences that might accompany that picture, and the age and the height and all of those kind of details. So that's quite sad, really. I've always preferred to kind of meet people in real life through different hobbies, work, and just at the gym, just over a period of time, and then one day something happens, and it's just like way more, for me, way more passionate if you actually know someone quite well, and it just is better. I believe that trust and familiarity is more erotic than mystery, in my personal opinion. It's definitely more orgasmic and definitely more satisfying. And last but not least, masturbation. So masturbation has actually, because people are having lots of solo sex, that's grown a lot as a result of this disconnection that's happening now. Even though we have many, many ways to connect with other people, it's making us less connected, which is really sad, because I'm all about, you know, being single and doing your thing, and self-love through masturbation, which of course I'm a sex toy reviewer, so that I'm definitely pro that. But I'm kind of glad that I discovered this later in my life, and that I indulged in real skin-to-skin, flesh-on-flesh sex when I was discovering sexuality, because it meant that I was sharing more intimacy with people. And I do believe that our human relationships is what real wealth is about. It's not about money or possessions. It's about human relationships. And if we don't have those in our lives, and I think life can be kind of a bit dull, really. And also I was talking to a friend about this the other day, or she was saying that she wanted to recommend sex toys to her daughter, but her daughter was not really that interested. And I think she was around 25, this girl, the daughter was, and I was just thinking, well, she'll come to that, you know, whenever it's right, if and when. But now I think it's a good time to kind of discover, you know, human relationships before you become disillusioned, maybe, or yeah, I think it's good to kind of like just focus on, well, you can still obviously share the experience of a sex toy, of course, but also porn as well. I mean, a lot of people are maybe relying on porn to reach orgasm, and then they get so used to masturbation that they are not used to actually functioning sexually with another human being, and sometimes they don't really want to, and I think that's really sad. I really do believe that's sad. So I think, let me get this off the screen. So my solution to all of this is to maybe masturbate less. Well, it's good to masturbate, but maybe try and have a real person from time to time, and be open to connecting with other people, and have a busy social life that involves different hobbies, and just going out and relating, you know, having contact with other people. I do believe this kind of the way we are connecting with other people has changed so much, even for children. I mean, they are, instead of actually playing house or playing different games together, they're kind of playing video games with, you know, silence, and just communicating through a screen. And I think that's so sad. And also people some parents just give a tablet to their child to just play on, just to kind of keep them entertained. So it's just really sad that we are losing that contact and the touch and all of these wonderful things that make life so wonderful. Anyway, what about you? What do you think about all of this? I would love to hear your opinions. And yeah, so if you have anything to add to this, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you have any ideas for new videos, don't hesitate to contact me at venus@venusohara.org or on Instagram at venusohara. Thanks for watching.